For more than 4 decades, one man has ruled Cameroon. He has survived military coups, economic crises, separatist rebellions, and political opposition. Yet today, the biggest mystery surrounding President Paul Biya is not an election or a war. It's his disappearance from public view. At 93 years old, Biya has spent more than 45 consecutive days outside Cameroon. Officially, the government says he is on a private stay in Europe. But no one knows exactly where he is, when he will return, or how he is governing one of Africa's most important countries from thousands of kilometers away. His long absence has triggered growing concern among opposition parties, political analysts, and ordinary Cameroonians. Is President Biya still fully in charge? Why has the ruling party suddenly called an emergency meeting? And what happens if Africa's second longest-serving president suddenly leaves office? Today, we uncover the extraordinary story of Paul Biya, the world's oldest-serving elected head of state, and the uncertain future of Cameroon. When Paul Biya first became president in 1982, Ronald Reagan had just entered the White House. Margaret Thatcher was Britain's prime minister. The Soviet Union, more than 40 years later, Biya remains president. During his presidency, Cameroon has had only 2 heads of state since independence. Biya himself has won multiple elections, though many opposition parties and international observers have questioned the fairness of several of them. Despite repeated criticism, he has remained firmly in control of the country's political system. Few leaders anywhere in the world have stayed in power for so long. Unlike many African presidents, Paul Biya is famous for spending long periods outside his own country. Over the years, he has frequently traveled to Europe, particularly Switzerland, where he is believed to spend weeks at a time. Critics argue that he governs Cameroon from luxury hotels while ordinary citizens struggle with unemployment, insecurity, and poor public services. The government rejects these accusations, insisting that modern technology allows the president to manage state affairs from anywhere in the world. However, his current absence is different. This is now his longest continuous stay abroad since becoming president. The government has not announced when he will return. That silence has fueled speculation across Cameroon and beyond. As questions about Biya's absence intensified, the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement unexpectedly called a rare meeting of its senior leadership. Officials described it only as an important working session. No agenda was released. That secrecy immediately fueled speculation. Was the meeting simply routine? Or were senior party officials quietly preparing for a political transition? So far, there is no evidence that the meeting was directly linked to Biya's health or succession. But in politics, timing often matters as much as words. Questions about Paul Biya's health are not new. For years, every extended absence has sparked rumors. Some reports have claimed he was receiving medical treatment overseas. The government has repeatedly denied those claims. In fact, after similar speculation in previous years, authorities discouraged public discussion about the president's health, arguing that false rumors threaten national stability. The lack of official information has only increased uncertainty. When governments say very little, people often fill the silence with speculation. Perhaps the most surprising political development this year was the reintroduction of the office of vice president. Cameroon's parliament approved the position, which would make the vice president the first in line to succeed the president. Yet months later, no one has been appointed. This raises important questions. Why create such an important office, but leave it vacant? Is the government preparing for a future transition? Or is it simply leaving all options open while President Biya remains in office? No official explanation has been given. Even before these political questions, Cameroon was facing enormous challenges. The country continues to battle separatist violence in its English-speaking regions. The militant group Boko Haram remains a security threat in the far north. Economic pressures, youth unemployment, and inflation continue to affect millions of families. Many young Cameroonians have never known another president. For an entire generation, Paul Biya is not simply a political leader. He is the only president they have ever lived under. One of the biggest concerns among analysts is not simply Biya's age. It is the uncertainty surrounding what happens after him. Because no clear successor has emerged, many fear that competition within the ruling elite could intensify whenever the presidency eventually changes hands. Some observers believe the ruling party will seek continuity by selecting a trusted insider. Others argue that growing frustration among young voters could strengthen opposition candidates. Whatever happens, the next leadership transition may become one of the most important moments in Cameroon's modern history. Across Africa, several countries have experienced political uncertainty after long-serving leaders left office. Some managed peaceful transitions. Others faced internal struggles over succession. Cameroon hopes to avoid instability, but much will depend on whether institutions are strong enough to manage change peacefully. For now, President Biya remains the country's constitutional leader. Yet every additional day abroad increases public curiosity and political speculation. For more than 4 decades, Paul Biya has outlasted rivals, survived crises, and remained one of Africa's most enduring political figures. Today, however, the biggest question is no longer how long he has ruled. It is how much longer his system can continue without a clearly defined transition. As Cameroon waits for its president to return, uncertainty continues to grow. Will Paul Biya reappear and reassure the nation? Will a vice president finally be appointed? Or is Cameroon quietly entering the beginning of a new political era? The answers to those questions will shape not only the future of Cameroon, but also the next chapter in Africa's political history.